Alright guys, so today we're going to take a look at the brand new 2023 version of Amazon's Earbuds. Now, just the name alone already had me confused because I initially wanted to just compare these to the first and second gen of Amazon's Earbuds. But for some reason, Amazon decided to just change the style completely. These are a semi-in-ear pair of earbuds. They're basically like Apple's AirPods. They don't actually have the silicone ear tips that are made to seal off your ear canal, so it's really going to give you a completely different listening experience altogether. So before we actually jump into the features, the sound, and all of those different things, let's first talk about the price, because this was another thing that kind of surprised me. They start off retailing at $49, which is much less than the first and second gen of Amazon's Earbuds, but right now, because of Prime Deal or whatever, they're on sale for $35. So $35 is not bad at all, especially from a company like Amazon. So we're going to see some of the features. We're going to talk about the sound and what all comes inside the box and see if these actually could be worth the $35 or $50 price tag. So to start with, let's look at the case and the earbuds themselves. I was very impressed with the case. It's solid. It is very small and compact, so this is definitely easy to keep in any kind of pocket. It's not going to take up a whole lot of space. But when you pop open the lid, you see the earbuds sitting in there, and the earbuds to me look kind of generic. There's no branding. It's just all white. Now, these are available in both white and black, but the white version here, it's just solid white. This pair does have smart sensors, so if you do take them out of your ears, it will automatically pause, and it'll go back to playing what you're listening to when you put them back in. And this pair also uses touch controls, but out of the box, they did not give me control over everything. But luckily, these do work with Amazon's app, but I do have to say, you have to actually download the app first for these to even work. You can't just connect them via Bluetooth and they're going to start playing music. You have to go through the setup. You have to go through and, just basically walk through the things you want it to do before you can even listen to anything out of them. So I do see that a lot of people may have an issue with this. I like to just connect via Bluetooth and just have these start working. But you do know you're going to have to go through that app setup first. Now, the app is going to obviously allow you to keep these updated. There are some EQ options that you can go in and manually adjust the EQ settings yourself. You can go in and switch around controls, which you do have to do to get control over everything, because out of the box, these did not have volume control. But once I went in, I was able to get these to do everything I needed them to, like play, pause, skip my tracks forward, go backwards, and have volume control, and also allow me to talk to the smart assistant. So you can get these to do everything, but you do have to go into the app to do that. Now, the other things that you can do within the app is you can allow the Find My Earbuds feature, and this pair also has multi-pairing, so you can connect to more than one device at a time, but you also have to do this within the app as well. Now, as far as some of the technology that these have, they are using 12mm drivers, and any earbud that has this semi-open style design needs to have large drivers like this, because it is what's competing with your surroundings. Because having an earbud like this allows you to not only listen to your music or podcast or whatever, it also allows you to be aware of your surroundings. So you can hear if somebody comes up to talk to you, you can hear traffic if you're going to be outdoors. So it is very convenient in that manner, but that again does affect the audio quality, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. Now, this pair is using Bluetooth 5.2. It is using a Qualcomm 5171 chip, and it has aptX playback, which I was kind of surprised with it being a semi-open style earbud. Usually you do not see aptX playback. Usually you don't need a high-end Bluetooth codec because you're not really fully able to take advantage of audio anyway. Now, another thing you do need to keep in mind, the first and second gen of the Earbuds had some form of active noise canceling or noise reduction, but this pair does not have that. Now, again, that's by design because you cannot block out noise if you don't have the ability to completely block your ear canal anyway. Now, the IP rating on these, so if you're going to use these at the gym or you're going to use these outdoors, I was expecting at least IPX4. That's kind of the standard at this point. but these only have an IPX2 rating. So IPX2 isn't really going to keep you protected against much. I mean, I guess if you're sweating, it'll be fine, or maybe just like a light drizzle would be fine. But anything outside of that, I would be nervous that it was going to damage these earbuds. But again, I guess maybe not having to spend $100 or maybe $150 on a pair of earbuds makes that a little bit more forgivable. And another thing that was interesting, now it's not surprising that these don't come with silicone ear tips. Now it does come with 2 sets of these silicone ear grips, which already makes these stand out a little more than Apple's AirPods because that allows these to grip a little bit in your ear, not move around as much, so you're not having to fiddle around with them or worry that they're going to move around. I didn't have any issue at all with these moving around, but they do not include any kind of charging cable. There's no USB-C cable. There's nothing in here. And they say that's for environmental purposes. Now, it does take a USB-C cable to charge these, so hopefully you already have one. I think that's what they're kind of betting on at this point. And these are not a Qi wireless charging case, so you do have to have a charging cable to charge these. And speaking of the charging, battery life is just okay. In fact, it's basically on par with Apple's AirPods because on a full charge, you're going to get about 5 hours on the earbuds and about 20 hours using the case. But if you do go in the app and you turn it off where it's not trying to look for a wake word, basically you summoning the smart assistant just by saying that one word, you can actually squeeze 6 hours out of the earbuds and about 24 hours using the case. So do keep that in mind. If you're not planning on saying your smart assistant's name to get it to do things, just go ahead and toggle that off and you'll get a little bit more battery life. But if you do pick these up and they are dead, there is a fast charge feature where a 15-minute charge will get you around 2 hours worth of use. And I think that always comes in handy because I generally don't remember to always make sure my earbuds are charged. And so to get 2 hours out of 15 minutes worth of charging is really nice. Now, if you are going to use these for taking phone calls, now this really isn't much of a surprise because these are made to work so well with Amazon's Smart Assistant and you being able to just say the word and it pick it up. These are using dual mics on each earbud, and it also has a voice detection accelerometer. So it's made to solely focus in on what you're saying, and it does a good job of picking up my voice, and I also feel like it does a really good job of blocking out my surroundings. But you guys can be a judge by listening to a test here. So here is the mic test using the brand new Earbuds. And like I said, I think the mics are very strong on these. And I think they kind of have to be because the main focus is to get people to use their earbuds with Amazon services. So this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call. And so now here's the mic test with the crowd noise being played, which you can hear here. And so this is what it would sound like if you were to take a call in public. So now let's talk about the sound, because the sound on these compared to the first and the second gen Amazon Echo Buds, you really can't compare them. They do not sound as good as the first and second gen, and that's again by design. You don't have that complete seal on your ear canal, so that affects you being able to get a really good bass response. You're not going to get that feeling of a subwoofer type bass where you can have that impact. The bass for the most part is pretty quick. You can hear the punch and then it moves on. It's nothing that's going to stand out. So if you are a bass head, I think you will be a little bit disappointed here. I will say that the sound overall has a warmer approach than the first and second gen Echo Buds, but I still feel like the sound on these are much better than Apple's AirPods. And again, it's just because I've never been the biggest fan of Apple's AirPods. I do not like the open or semi-open design when it comes to earbuds, but I will say them adding that silicone ear grip is definitely helping that bass impact a little bit more than what Apple's AirPods could do. It just sounds a little bit more fuller. These do sound warmer than the Apple AirPods, which I feel like that definitely benefits the mids. I feel like the mids do a great job on these. Whether it be male or female vocalists, I could hear everything clearly. But when it comes to the treble, this was probably my least favorite. I felt like, it wasn't bright enough. And when you're going to listen to these at higher volumes, I kind of felt like it got a little distorted. It just wasn't as enjoyable to listen to at that higher volume. Now, these do get pretty loud, so I wouldn't recommend listening to them, at their peak volume anyway. But that is something to keep in mind because there are some people that just like to listen at full blast. And I felt like these just really couldn't seem to handle that. And again, maybe it's just the drivers aren't made to be, listened to at full blast, but the treble just kind of falls flat the louder that you go. So that is something I wanted to point out. But when it comes to the soundstage and the sound imaging, obviously, by design, these sound very open. I think they do a really good job of making you feel like you're in a large environment. And I also think they do a pretty good job of being able to tell where different sounds are coming from. So if I'm going to grade the different genres that most people listen to, I think if you listen to pop and hip hop mainly, I would put these at a 7. Again, if you're a bass head, I just don't think that this is going to be the pair that you're going to want. If you listen to mainly rock or metal, this is where I would even drop them down lower to a 6. That's the main genres that I listen to, and I, again, felt like it just sounded a little flat at times, and it just lacked that energy I'm used to with just normal earbuds. Now, if you are going to listen to easy listening or country, something that's a little more vocal driven, this is where I bump these up to an 8. Again, I think they do a very good job with vocalists, and I think in these genres, this is where this pair really shines. Now, when it comes to media, this is where I would dial it back down to a 7. It is using Bluetooth 5.2, so it's not the latest 5.3 that cuts down on a little more lag. There's no gaming or low latency mode to switch these into. So although they're good with vocals, again, which is going to be good for videos and movies and podcasts and things like that, it still feels like it's lacking because of that low end, and I just can't give it anything higher than a 7. So my overall rating on these is going to be a 7. Again, I think they are better than Apple's AirPods, which already make these a really good value because you can pick them up for $35. I wish that they just would have named these something completely different because my initial reaction is I wanted to compare these to the first and second gen Echo Buds, but that's not really what these are comparable to. This pair does lack wireless charging. In fact, it even lacks the charging cable in the box, which is kind of frustrating. But from a sound standpoint and for what it is, which is an open or semi-open design earbud, I think the sound quality is actually very good. It's just not normally my cup of tea, but I think if you're going to buy these, right now is the perfect time to do that because the sale price is where I would recommend these at that $35. But honestly, at $50, there's just so much better options. In fact, the Donner Dubuds 1, which always fall under $50, it is a similar style, but it gives you the seal in your ear canal, and it is a much better sounding earbuds. So I'll put a link to those and the Amazon Echo Buds where you can check them out in the description. But guys, that wraps up my video on the 2023 version of Amazon's Echo Buds. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Thank you so much for checking out all the other videos. And as always, make sure to stay tuned for more.